Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So I've talked on my channel before about being a people pleaser and the way I would be saying yes less and staying in more. I have this thing whenever I make a breakthrough, like a spiritual healing breakthrough, I feel like I'm done. Like I'm like, okay, I got it. I learned that lesson, I'm good. And I never have to circle back to it ever again. And I found very recently that that was actually not the case. So that's what we're gonna be talking about. Before we get into it, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, join me on the Patreon. On the Patreon, I actually have a coaching tier now. It's actually my coachee who I have to thank for this video because she asked me, Chimdi, what did Cape Town teach you? You know, because she's actually Cape Townian herself. So she asked me, you know, what did your experience traveling to South Africa teach you? And one of the major things was around lying to myself. And I'm gonna make a separate video about that. One of the other major things was around living a life that's in alignment and doing what you want to do and how good that feels. The trip to Cape Town, this is actually my second time going there. It was so much better than the first time because I spent a lot more of it doing what I wanted to do. I had a lot less of that fear around, actually I don't want to go to this dinner with 50 people, but because everyone's gonna be there, I should go. Not so that I didn't take my time during that trip to carve out time for myself and do what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't as confident doing it. I had less practice doing it. It was still very uncomfortable to do it, and so there were many times that I just went with the flow instead of doing what I wanted to do. And this time around, not only was the trip very focused in terms of the people I was seeing, so I was seeing like my two dearest friends, so that was already amazing, but there was a lot less of like the running around and a lot less like doing stuff because other people were there. So when I was seeing other people, it was people who I wanted to see. I saw Marguerite, who is also a YouTuber on here. I work with her at Adobe stuff. I saw the lovely Femi, who's someone who did remote year in a different group, but we met because she saw my YouTube videos about remote year. We like have become friends, which is so freaking cool. So I'm seeing people that I like really want to see, and I'm being really intentional about like how I'm spending my time, and that was a game changer for me. And so I had someone reach out to me recently about doing a travel trip. I wasn't called to do it. When it comes to travel, I have a very good sense of where I want to go. Anywhere I want to go, I pretty much already know, and I'm already not necessarily making plans to get there myself, but I have complete faith that at some point when it's right, the Lord will allow me to get there. And so this person reached out about a place that is not necessarily on my list, or if it is on my list, it's not on my list now. It's not like this year, you know? But I could hear it in their voice. I could hear when they were talking about it, how much they wanted me to go. It triggered that part of me, the people pleaser part of me, that genuinely wants to help people reach joy and be joyful and stand in their happiness. You know, like there's nothing more beautiful than when you can play a role in someone else's deep, fulfilling happiness and joy. I think the thing is thinking you should do that thing at expense to your own happiness and joy, and thinking you are responsible for someone else's happiness and joy. Because ultimately, and this is what I believe, our joy, our happiness is fully an internal process. It comes from God. It is innate to us. It is who we are. And it's not about looking for a relationship, looking for a job, looking for a trip, looking for a dope haircut to give us that joy. That's not where it comes from. All that stuff is gonna fade. All that stuff is temporary. Our true joy and happiness is internal. So no one else can give it to you, ultimately. I, in the past, have gotten confused about that. And I've thought like, oh, I have a role to play in this other person's happiness and joy. And it's bad of me to not play that role if it's a role that I can play. Having a trip, having an experience that was so completely aligned in terms of being with the people that I want to be with, seeing the things that I want to see, doing the things that I want to do, being in the places that I want to go to, having freedom when it comes to when I leave and when I go, feeling free. And I think this is the most important thing, to be myself. You know, we know that there's some people that we can be around where we don't have that complete safety. We don't feel completely safe to be ourselves in that situation, either because we kind of know instinctually that it's not going to work out, or because of our past experiences that have told us like, yeah girl, it's not gonna work out in your favor. One thing I love about YouTube is that I feel very comfortable to just be telling y'all all of my business. Love that for me. I actually, when I was in Cape Town, I did make out with a stranger. Love that for me. He actually makes music. I'm gonna link his video down below. Love you, baby. It was real what we had. We only had it for arguably an evening, but it was real. It did not go further than making out. So You know, when you meet someone, this is something I'm realizing is like a new thing I have to explore, and I actually want to make a separate video about like the things you don't realize that's gonna happen as you grow on YouTube. And one of them is, you know, when someone meets you, they meet you as you present yourself in that moment, and then they make their little assumptions based on who they think you are. And then when they say, so you know what you do, and you're like, I make YouTube videos, and they're like, well, what's your YouTube channel? I'm like, here it is. And then they actually watch your YouTube videos, and if you're like me, where you be getting into it in your videos, they get to know you real well in a real short amount of time, depending on which videos they choose to watch. It's cool because I do think my videos, especially if you're watching them from a place of like watching my growth, I do think they pretty accurately represent my vibes, who I am, and what I'm learning in real time. But of course, there's always a part of yourself that cannot be captured through a screen. And that's why it's so beautiful to spend time in person, because there's nothing like actually like being there with someone. I was gonna say especially my hotness. I had someone leave me a comment a while ago that was like, you know, you are beautiful, but you really just seem to mention it a lot. And I'm like, why are you mad, baby girl? Why are you mad? Yeah, there's really nothing like being in person. But it's something where I'm like, oh, like people are getting to know me very quickly if they meet me and then they immediately like watch a bunch of my YouTube videos. I feel comfortable being myself here, which is why it's all good. Like I feel like it's all good, you know? And I know that there are other places, other people where despite all of my healing, despite all of my intentionality and my awareness and all these things, I'm triggered and I'm like activated, and my adaptive child comes up, and I'm no longer open-hearted chimney who's present and available and responsive. I'm withdrawing, I'm going inward, I'm becoming reactive, and I'm coming from a place of fear, and I'm scared, and so I'm not really showing up as my full self. Now that I understand what kind of circumstances and situations bring that out in me, I'm not going to willfully put myself in those situations. I'm not gonna knowing ahead of time that I'm not gonna feel safe being myself. I'm not gonna actively put myself in those situations. If I find myself in those situations, I know that that is because I am being called to grow and to heal, but I am not interested in voluntarily being around people who I don't feel safe being myself with. And I feel like I was agreeing, I was going along with this trip because I was like, oh, this will make this person happy. Even though I know it'll be at my own detriment because I won't feel like I can be my full, no one else has called me brash, but you know, my full chimney, all of me, you know? I'm really grateful for the experience of seeing this is what it feels like, this is what it looks like to do what you want, to be with who you want to be with, to be seen and heard, to become and to belong. So much of like our journey can be summed up in like, do we feel safe to be who we are? And as we are being who we are we like welcomed in a community? Once you get a taste of it, then you can be like, oh wait, I only am interested in this. So it's on me to, for me, heal enough so that I can, in more and more spaces, feel comfortable, but also to not actively traumatize myself and put myself in situations where I won't feel good. And I'm grateful that I'm continuing to get experiences to practice what I said I was gonna do, which is say yes less and be like, actually, I can't go. And there's not like a justification. That was another great thing from talking to Marguerite, actually. We're having this conversation around when you like decline and when you respond to somebody, and instead of like making all these justifications for why you can't do it, you just say like, I won't be able to go. And that's that. That's a full sentence, you know, with a period at the end. And it's definitely one of my areas for growth. I feel very blessed that I'm getting to practice it. That's one thing with the healing journey, is you just realize how many opportunities you have to heal and grow. It's arguably moment after moment after moment. I'm happy for it, I'm glad for it, and I hope that at least hearing what I'm talking about, you know, if this is something that you've been like working through, it's one of your challenges, you can know that it's gonna kind of keep coming up. As long as you have more to heal, it's gonna keep coming up. It's okay. There are other people who are out there dealing with it, and they're trying their best, and they're doing it. And so you can do it too, okay? So that is the video. Hope it was helpful, hope you liked it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join me on the Patreon. Thank you to my Patreon producers. Y'all are the best. Love y'all, appreciate y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.